Welcome back, Chaos Crew. I'm your host, Jamie, and today we are talking about something that you're probably already hearing lots of on social media, and that is the idea of the holidays and holiday weight gain. So grab your coffee, get cozy, snuggle up. We are going to have some more caffeinated convos. Now, I'm just going to dive right into this one. So, obviously, as bariatric patients, as people who struggled with our weight, we tend to really panic around this time of year with the holidays. I want to share a fact with you, though, to open up this conversation, especially for anyone who is already panicking that they are going to ruin all their progress this season. Now, I did a lot of research on this, and all of the research that I looked at had some slightly different numbers. But on average, the average person gains 1 to maybe 3 pounds between October and January 1st each year. I want you to let that sink in. Most of the articles I looked at said closer to the 1 pound. So again, most people gain about 1 pound this time of year. So you might be sitting there thinking, so why in the hell am I gaining 10 plus pounds every year? Well, let's talk about it. I obviously have been a dietitian for many years now, and I've been working in this community for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of people. Now, if you look at some of the research, people who struggle with weight may gain a little bit more, but ultimately, the 1 to 3 pounds is average. I can't even tell you how much I see people stressing about this time of year. And I'm not going to say it's like silly or unwarranted. This is a hard time of year for a lot of people. You have seasonal depression. Hello, I have that. Like, actually have that, and it's awful. You have financial struggles. The economy is not great, and there's a lot of financial fear just anyways, never mind the fact that you have holidays. All right, Chaos Crew, you already know how much I talk about being a new mom and juggling not only that aspect of my life, but my post-op health and life after surgery. And I honestly can't even tell you how many times Hungry Root has saved me in this season of life. They are the most incredible grocery delivery service where I know that when I use their groceries, I'm getting really healthy, high protein, easy to use ingredients sent right to my door. And honestly, now that Oliver is eating real food now too, it's just they've grown so much with me and my family. I started using them when I was just 1 month postpartum and has absolutely been a game changer. Whether I am using the ingredients they send me from scratch to create one of their amazing meals with one of their recipes, or I'm just grabbing one of their ready made options, I always have something for dinner ready to go for me and my family. And for right now, they are offering Coffee and Chaos listeners 40% off your first order when you use the code CHAOS at checkout. So don't forget, you can head to the link in the show notes. You can grab your first grocery order, which, like, hello, 40% off of groceries. Amazing. Make sure you go and do that. Use the link, use the code so they know that I sent you. Holidays bring up a lot of struggles and fears with family, especially if you don't have a great relationship with your family, or maybe you don't have family close by, or maybe loved ones have passed away. Also, family, even if they are here and present, is not always super great if you have difficult family members and boundaries are hard. And we throw in the mix that for the vast majority of people listening to this podcast who are in the bariatric community, maybe you're not actually in the bariatric community, but I would assume if you're listening to this, you've struggled with weight in some capacity. You probably have struggled with stress eating and emotional eating. So all of those things can kind of just come to a head. But it makes me wonder, and everything I'm going to share now is not so much science backed. This is just me, Jamie, the person, fellow bariatric patient speaking to you. It makes me wonder how much of this holiday weight gain fear is fueled by psychologically, like, psyching yourself out. Because I think we go into this season so stressed and fearful of, oh my God, I'm going to gain weight. Oh my God, the holidays, I'm going to gain weight. And it makes me just wonder and kind of speculate how much of this weight gain is brought on by overthinking it all and just freaking out about it. Again, I'm not saying there aren't legitimate reasons that people are stressed, upset, turning to food in this time. Nor am I saying there's not legitimate triggers, being surrounded by your trigger food, being surrounded by, like, having parties and stuff. One of the things I talk about with my clients every year, though, is if we let's just like, okay, I hate math, but like, let's just like do some math for a second. Let's just say between October and January 1st, let's say, there's Halloween, there is Thanksgiving if you're in the US. Also, please nobody come for me. I'm well aware that there are many different holidays and I don't want to I don't want to forget any. So these are just the holidays that I celebrate. But we have Christmas Eve, Christmas, if you celebrate Hanukkah, which I know that goes on for a handful of days. But let's say you have like a work party. Let's say you have a party for the kids or something at their school. Let's just say, like, for like argument's sake, on average, you have 10 times throughout these months where you are just surrounded by trigger foods. You are surrounded by the holiday foods and the treats and the cookies and things and the alcohol. Let's just say for argument's sake. If we factor in, let's see, I'm going to say, let's just figure like 2 full months, so like 60 days. We eat on average 3 meals per day. I'm not going to factor in snacks. So on average, that's like 180 meals between those solid 2 months. Say 10 of those meals are unusual. So if we do 10 divided by 180, and nobody come for me for my math. So if I'm doing this wrong, tell me nicely because I'm not good at math. But if we're looking at this, that's about 5% of your times eating will be thrown off. That leaves you like a 95% consistency rate, which means 95%, give or take, of the times that you sit down to have a meal will be probably more routined. Again, somebody somewhere will yell at me and be like, but I travel half the month and I know there's other things. I'm just saying on average. We're going with averages here. My point is, I think what happens is we get into such an all or nothing mentality of, well, it's the holidays. I'm already struggling with regain. I'm already not doing what I'm supposed to. I really can't with the holidays because why in the world am I going to start a new diet today when in a week and a half from now I have a work party that I know I can't stick to? If this is your thought process, even if it's not like at the forefront of your brain, but somewhere like kind of subconsciously, this is where your lines of thinking, I'm going to give you some like tough love, emphasis on the love. Your routine around food and diet and eating is way too restrictive. If that is the case, if you feel like you can't be consistent throughout this time of the year or be consistent most of the time, even knowing you're going to have days with like lots of treats, lots of sugar, lots of alcohol, it means we're being way too strict. It means that you are not doing things sustainably, even if maybe you think you are. Again, uncomfy truth there, a little tough love. But I've been doing this a long time and I have experienced this. I really struggle with like my history before having weight loss surgery of like the idea of regain around the holidays because I was always that person that put on like 10, 15, 20 pounds around the holidays. But when I look back, it's because I was definitely binging on the food because I was telling myself, eat it now. It's your only chance. We're starting a diet January 1st. Better eat it now because it's the only time I can have Thanksgiving casserole, or it's the only time I can have the Christmas cookie my mom makes, which, like, yes, is true, but also, yes, it's extra special to have it on the holiday. But the truth is, you can make the casserole or the cookie anytime throughout the year. And you can also freeze it and have it later. You don't have to pressure yourself into having the holiday food just because it's the holiday time. And you also don't have to pass it up. I think there's this other fear of like, oh my God, like, how am I going to handle the holidays? Like, I can't eat the things everybody else eats. What am I going to do? And that's a very real fear around this time of year, especially if you're in the first 6 months post-op, which let me also just interject and say, if you're in the first 6 months post-op, even 6 to 12 months, depending on your goals, your post-op plan, it might be too soon to add some of like the real deal things in. And I say this with love because I had my surgery on December 19th, 2017, smack dab in the middle of the holidays. I was on liquids the entire month of December. And when I tell you it sucked, it sucked. It sucked so bad. Yeah, I wished I was eating the holiday food. Yeah, I wished I was having, the cookies and the wine and all the things, but I couldn't. So yeah, that was really like unfun. But I got through it. And the following year, I was able to have a couple cookies. So again, time and place is really important. By no means am I saying like if you had surgery a few weeks ago, like have that food because honestly, balance comes with time and you do need to follow your post-op diet. But over time, and I've talked about this in other episodes, we should be transitioning into a more balanced routine where it's not overly restrictive long term. And if you are multiple years out and you still feel like you're going to fail because you have a cookie, that signals to me the rest of the year you're probably being way too strict. So again, it makes me wonder, are we gaining the weight because of the food itself, or is it the way we're acting around the food this time of year? And I know I also know there's a lot of you listening right now who have regained. And this is something that came up with one of my clients recently too, where she feels like she shouldn't have the treats because she's trying to lose the regain. She's like, well, if I wasn't struggling with the regain, I'd let myself have some treats or some cookies or whatever. But because I'm struggling, I don't deserve to have that, or I shouldn't be having that. And again, if you're trying to lose weight, whether it's the first time around on this journey or regain or, multiple times trying to lose the weight, losing the regain comes from patience and consistency, not perfection. So I would actually encourage you to have a bit of the things you want, because if it is so strenuous to like, quote, get back on track, it's not livable. I am not even exaggerating a little bit when I say I have literally tried every single protein powder out there since I had my surgery 8 years ago. And for the first time, I am actually being super consistent with drinking my protein shake every single morning. And that's because First Form has been a game changer for me. It is the first protein powder that I actually enjoy drinking every day. I personally love their caramel latte level 1 flavor protein powder. It is incredible. It tastes so good. It is smooth, creamy, and only has the highest quality ingredients. It is not made with any fillers. It is just an epic product specifically for bariatric patients, and it's been a total game changer for me. And you guys know that this podcast is called Profit and Chaos for a reason. I'm always grabbing my Profit and running out the door, and First Form makes it possible for me to still live this chaotic life and hit my needs. So make sure you check out the links below, that you check out all of First Form's products. Again, level 1 is my favorite. Also in the show notes below, you can get my favorite Profit recipe using First Form. And you absolutely can and should enjoy the foods this holiday. But I think the thing that's important, and this is something I've learned to be true for myself, and this is really like the part I wanted to share with you all, is it has to come from an empowered place, which means you have to slow down enough to actually choose what you want. So, for example, for me, on Thanksgiving, my 2 favorite things are the broccoli casserole. I love the broccoli casserole. I've started making the broccoli casserole in my family because one year my dad decided to try a healthier version, and it was god awful. I don't want the healthy version. So the version I make, it's like frozen, like chopped broccoli, you steam it, whatever, kind of drain it, put it in a pan. And my grandmother used to make it too, so it's also special because I remember as a kid she would make it, and it has a shit ton of Velveeta cheese. A shit ton of Velveeta. Anything with Velveeta we know is going to be good. So you bake it and you let it all melt and you mix it all together. And then for the like crumb on the top, you take Ritz crackers, you crush them up, and you like fry them up with a whole stick of butter in a pan. Then you layer it on top and bake it again. My God, it's so delicious. I mean, yeah, there's a vegetable, but it is a hell of a lot of cheese and butter and Ritz crackers. That to me is like my favorite thing. The other thing is, I'm not a big pie person, but the 2 types of pies I like are pumpkin and pecan. And those are really the ones you have on Thanksgiving. So yes, I have 2 small slices of pie because I don't want just one bigger one. I want a little bit of each. But for me, I need to slow down enough to actually choose those and get excited about it and let myself eat it. Because one of the things I see happening a lot is people will go into this holiday and say, nope, I'm not going to have that, or I'm only going to have like a teeny bit and I have to stick to my protein, or I have to stick to my, sugar-free, whatever. Which again, sometimes is a good option depending on where you're at. Or if you don't feel restricted and that's genuinely what you want, that's fine too. But at the end of the day, you need to slow down enough to make that your choice. And when you have the indulgent thing you want, let yourself freaking enjoy it. Listen, I am one of those people that like happy dances when I get my food. I'm like, like I get so happy. Let yourself happy dance with your food. Like enjoy it. Cause I think what happens is this immediate, like before you even eat it, you already feel guilty that you're going to eat it. And then the shame spirals and then you eat more of it and usually do it in secret when everyone's gone to bed because you were trying not to eat too much in front of people who might make comments. So you don't have the pumpkin pie. But then what's happening in the middle of the night? You're slivering off a little bit of pie. Like let yourself have it. So it comes with like owning it and not being ashamed of it. And I don't know if any of this is, like, actually resonating or making sense, but I just felt the need to talk about it because it's coming up on my calls already. I'm seeing it a lot on social media, and I thought it was just really important to share with you that statistically, most people aren't gaining 10, 20, 30 pounds over the holidays. And if you are, one, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. And in addition to that, I think the fear of it happening perpetuates it a bit. What you really need to do, in my this is my professional opinion, is be consistent before, during, and after. If your routine is not consistent before, during, and after, yeah, it's gonna fall apart. And that's what I talk about on my social media, especially with, like, my programs and, like, supporting people and stuff with all of this is I don't want you to work with me, in a professional sense this season so that I can make sure your diet is on point and that you're losing weight. I wanna make sure that your routine is sustainable enough so that you're enjoying what you're eating and still slowly losing weight. Or guys, I think also just maintaining this time of year is a totally acceptable goal. I remember talking specifically with one of my clients about this time last year. She was in my group program and she was feeling the same type of pressure. And I was like, "Girl, like, what if what if the goal for the next 2 months was not to lose weight? What if the goal the next 2 months was to maintain your weight? You don't have to try and lose the 20 pounds right now if that's not realistic either." And I remember by her and I came up with a plan for her to just maintain her weight. We built in that flexibility, and that doesn't mean it was just a free for all either. It was, "Okay, I'm gonna do the things I'm supposed to do, or I know that serve me most of the time, but I am gonna have the pizza at the party, and I am gonna have this, and I am gonna have, the cookies or whatever, and I'm not going to beat myself up because the goal is not weight loss. It's okay if I don't." Like, she gave herself permission to not lose weight, which that itself can be very hard to do when that is, like, your life's mission. But in return, she actually did lose a couple pounds, and she had all the things, and she didn't psych herself out, and she didn't set herself behind, and she was able to pick up right where she left off. And what we found was her being just generally healthful and consistent most of the time, which was her quote, like, maintenance plan, actually helped her lose some weight. So my point in all of this is I don't want you to feel fearful of this time of year. There's enough stress. Like I said, just like the fact of, like, the hustle and bustle of the holidays, financial stress of buying, like, presents and stuff, having to show up. Also the fact of this is one too, being seen can be really scary. I know there's a lot of you probably going into the holidays where with people who maybe haven't seen you since you had surgery or since you were on a GLP-1 and lost weight. And you already know there's gonna be a lot of comments. This is something else we work on majorly this time of year in the tribe membership is we work on this, like, with our therapists and other tribe leaders, but is having boundaries around this time of year. I cannot stress this one enough. Boundaries this time of year is huge, both with yourself and with others. So making sure that you teach people how to treat you. So if people are at the holiday party or at the gathering and they are making comments about your weight, you are allowed to tell them that's not okay. If people are trying to make comments about your food, you're also allowed to tell them that's not okay. Please don't do that. Or I know what I'm doing. Mind your own plate. Those boundaries are important, but also having boundaries with yourself. One of the biggest things I talk to my clients about is the fact that surgery, as much as it is physical, is also super mental and emotional. We can have our stomachs removed, bypassed, whatever, but we cannot bypass or remove the parts of our head that need work. And this is why I am constantly referring people to find a bariatric therapist. This is an incredible, incredible platform created by my friend and colleague, Ashlyn Douglas Barnes. She is a licensed bariatric therapist. She had weight loss surgery herself. And it is so incredible what she has put together. It is a free directory. It costs you literally nothing. And you can find licensed bariatric specific therapists licensed in your state. So make sure you check it out. As a dietitian, I help you with the food, but we always need to be incorporating the interdisciplinary team so that you get the well-rounded support you need. Check it out below and let us know your thoughts. I hear sometimes, people try and sabotage me and people try and tempt me with food. They're in charge of their actions and you're in charge of yours. So it's okay to say no thank you. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean you have to have the treats either. Again, it goes both ways. You absolutely can say yes and say, like, yes, please, when it makes sense and feels good. But if it doesn't feel good for you in the moment because you're not hungry or it doesn't sound good, you don't have to eat it just because it's there. So this is me giving you that permission to actually take that ownership and choose. And let yourself enjoy the holidays. Fall back also on some of those holiday traditions that are not food related. I share this a lot. One of my favorite holiday traditions around Christmas time is making, I think if I'm saying it correctly, it's pomander oranges. Me and my mom and my sister have made them since we were little. It's like an old fashioned like decoration for Christmas time. So if you take a whole orange and you take full like cloves, like the clove like spice, they're pointy at the end and you can push it into the orange and make really pretty decorations. So we would make those every year and put them in a bowl with like greenery between like the pine needles and the orange and the clove. It would smell so pretty. And sometimes we'd sprinkle cinnamon on top and it'd be a beautiful like centerpiece for the table, but then it smelled really good. And it was a nice activity. We'd usually watch Christmas movies while we did it. So lean into some like non-food related traditions that are also fulfilling. One of the ones I really want to start doing with Oliver. So when I was growing up, we got to pause this. All right, Crew. I totally could have edited this whole part, but I chose not to because the whole point of this podcast is to show you my real life and the chaos. So here we are, 4.5, 5 hours later. I still have my Proffee from this morning. That is disgusting now, and I will not be drinking. Much time has passed because in the middle of the episode that I was recording about holidays and waking and all the things, I was telling you about my non-food traditions, and I got a phone call from Oliver's school. He is okay, but it sent me into a panic. Long story short, this is a total just like personal introduction because again, the freaking chaos, guys, if you could just, I know you know because we're all living it, right? Especially if you have kids or little ones at home, like, oh my God. My mom guilt is like real enough, like having him having childcare outside of our home. That was, I could probably film a whole episode on like decision, but I get a phone call literally. And I told you guys during either this episode or one of the other ones, like if you hear like pinging during me recording and talking, it's because I purposely leave my notifications on in case, they need me. But I had paused them so that I could finish recording this episode. And legitimately, I shit you not, in the 20-minute time span, I had it on Do Not Disturb. And I had checked my phone before that. One of the things I can say I am most proud of since starting my journey is creating the support for others that I never had. I remember thinking, oh my God, I am a dietitian and I am struggling on this journey with not just what to do, but how to do it to be successful and actually live my life, which is why I created my tribe membership back in 2020. It is the most incredible resource that I offer and the best starting point if you're looking for more support or some of my more nutrition services. It's an acronym and it stands for the Real Insights of Bariatric Eating, and it has so much support in there, not just from myself, but from other credentialed experts. We have therapists, we have a doctor of physical therapy, we have a nurse, we have so many people in there to support you along the way. So if you are interested in more nutrition support and more support in hitting your goals on your journey, that is a great place to start. You can check out the link below and use the code ChaosCrew20 for 20% off your first month. And there's no minimum commitment. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. But I will say you probably won't want to because we do some epic things in there. What happens? I get like 4 missed phone calls from school, a bunch of messages. So obviously I call them back in an utter panic. He's okay, but out of nowhere, Oliver spiked 104.3-degree fever. So that is scary and alarming. So I rushed to school. Thank God it's like 8 minutes away from my house. He's okay. He's been battling an ear infection. We had an ENT appointment this last summer because the last handful of ear infections he's had this year, they just like won't clear up. They won't go away. It's like the fluid won't drain. It takes multiple rounds of antibiotics, but ENT said he was fine. But now we are going back to ENT because he was on a round of antibiotics for 10 days. This Monday, he was tugging on his ear again after he just finished his 10 days. Tuesday, I brought him back into the doctor. They started another round of antibiotics. Today, it is Thursday at this point in time when I'm recording this. So been on it for 48 hours. He spikes this fever. I bring him in. He says his ear's not better, but his ear's also not bad enough to warrant that type of fever. So they suspect not only is this antibiotic still not working, so we have to switch it, they also think he's coming down with some kind of virus on top of it, and the fever is unrelated to the ear infection because he has not had a fever since getting this last ear infection. Give him Tylenol, I bring him home and give him, all the fluids I can and all the snuggles, put the recording on pause, obviously, get a phone call from the pharmacy because his antibiotic is out of stock. So I call the pharmacy, they transfer it over. I have the worst experience ever with the rudest pharmacist or pharmacy tech I've ever talked to. So rude to me, it was actually unreal, to the point where I called corporate and complained. I might not have had the time today, but I made the time today because, oh, hell no. And guys, I swear to God, I am not a Karen. I'm not one to complain. But my husband was sitting there too and heard He was like, "Oh my God." This guy was like, I'm not gonna get into it because my blood's gonna boil again. Finally get the damn antibiotic, give it to Oliver. He immediately throws it up everywhere. He didn't eat a ton for dinner because he's not feeling good, but he had a banana. All the banana came up onto me. If you're watching this on YouTube or the Patreon and you see some sludge on my sweatshirt, don't judge. If I look exhausted, I am. He's okay. I just got off the phone call with the on-call doctor about what to do with the antibiotic situation, gave him more Motrin, put him to bed, and here I am. When I tell you I haven't taken one smidge of a break since I ran off this before, not even a second. So, and we have a bariatric breakthrough coaching call tonight, which I'll be ready for. But this is like, I literally feel like we're totally pivoting from our original conversation of regain holiday things and just like, again, interjecting with the real life chaos and I feel like I am running a marathon every day. I don't know how else to describe it. Again, this is a totally different topic than we were originally talking about, but I just feel the need to let you guys know that if you feel this way too, you're not alone, because I feel like from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, it is just nonstop. And it's so hard to try and rest or to try and take a minute when there literally is not a minute to take. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Every nook and cranny of my day is filled with something. If anyone has tips on that, you let me know. But again, like, what are you supposed to do? I have to go. I would never not be there for my baby. Like, I have to go take him. I have to bring him to the doctor, have to make sure he's okay. It's just like, it just never stops. So anyways, like I said, I could have edited this out. I could have just edited it, smoothed it over, and continued where I was talking, but that's not who I am. So that's been my day in a nutshell. One of the things I can say I am most proud of since starting my journey is creating the support for others that I never had. I remember thinking, oh my God, I am a dietitian and I am struggling on this journey with not just what to do, but how to do it to be successful and actually live my life, which is why I created my tribe membership back in 2020. It is the most incredible resource that I offer and the best starting point if you're looking for more support or some of my more nutrition services. It's an acronym and it stands for the Real Insights of Bariatric Eating, and it has so much support in there, not just from myself, but from other credentialed experts. We have therapists, we have a doctor of physical therapy, we have a nurse. We have so many people in there to support you along the way. So if you are interested in more nutrition support and more support in hitting your goals on your journey, that is a great place to start. You can check out the link below and use the code CHAOSCREW20 for 20% off your first month. And there's no minimum commitment. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. But I will say you probably won't want to because we do some epic things in there. I did want to tell you about my fun tradition. I do want to start with Oliver. So I'm going to circle back to that and then we'll end on that note because I need to get ready for my coaching call. But one of the traditions I want to start with Oliver that I think is really cute. I had read another family did this online a handful of years ago before I ever like even thought about like having kids, and I just thought it was so cute, so I always remembered it. Growing up, we always got a real tree and went to the Christmas tree farm and cut it down. But Steve and I a few years ago invested in a very nice fake tree, and it's actually so much easier and I love it and it's beautiful. But I always feel guilty that we don't go to the Christmas tree farm. So what I want to do, this again, I'm stealing this idea from some random family on Facebook that I saw years ago. But what they did with their kids is they would go to the Christmas tree farm every year. They take a little tractor ride. That's our local farm. That's what we do too. And instead of going and cutting down a Christmas tree, they would search for a Christmas pine cone. They would find a pine cone, like search like the Christmas tree farm, find a pine cone and take it home. They then would put the pine cone in a bowl of water. And when the kids went to bed that night, the Christmas season magic to start the Christmas season would make the Christmas tree grow. So obviously parents put up the Christmas tree while the kids go to sleep, and then they wake up the next morning and the tree's there. So I want to start doing that with Oliver because I think that'd be so freaking cute. Then we can still have our fake tree, but experience the like Christmas tree farm. But what I want to do is go to the Christmas tree farm. Also, he is walking and loves being outside. Like he would have so much fun picking up pine cones. Like I would love to do that with him. And even if he doesn't understand it now, eventually that could be a really fun like Christmas magic type tradition that has nothing to do with like presents or even Santa or anything. So that was one of the traditions I wanted to say that I'm looking forward to that has nothing to do with food. Anyways, probably had more I was originally going to say on holidays and weight gain, but I think you got the gist of it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope you appreciate me showing you what today truly looked like, not just what it could have looked like on screen because, again, totally defeats the purpose of this. Until next time, Chaos Crew, I'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow. Please leave a review no matter what platform you're listening on. If you listen on multiple platforms, leave the review in multiple places. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. And then also, by doing so, it helps other people find this podcast. Make sure you check out my resources in the show notes. I have tons and tons of free resources there between my free guides, my free Facebook group, got my newsletter list. There's all sorts of resources there. And ultimately, if you are struggling with the mindset, if you struggle with like the all or nothing thinking, if you feel like you are one of those people who psychs yourself out this time of year and really just needs help with the consistency more than anything else, the support, the guidance, please consider joining us in the Tribe membership. I also have a discount code for you. We would love to welcome you in. And again, please know you're not alone. We don't sugarcoat things in that program there either. We are all very real and we admit when we're on the struggle bus and we lift each other up and get through it. So, anyways, that's all till next time. See you next week.